And we are live here on CKLU 96.7. This is the first edition of Crater Conversations, a new radio show from our crater. It's no secret over here at our crater, we've got a big old crush on Sudbury. We love showing off all the amazing businesses, exciting events, and sharing some of our favorite views. But we've got to say the thing we love the most are the people. Sure, every community has a few standout characters, but we're not talking about just any city. We're talking about our city, and we want to tell the stories of the people that make Sudbury great. Often overlooked and discredited as a northern town, we've always aimed to paint a more vivid picture of how we live up here. This brings us to our later project that you're listening to right now, Crater Conversations, a new radio show here live on CKLU, airing 10 to 11 p.m. each Sunday, beginning tonight, our very first edition. So what exactly is the show about? Join me, your co-host, Jess, one of the co-founders here at our crater, each week, and I'll be sitting down with a local guest. We'll talk about their projects, their passions, and the things that they love about our little rock town. We'll be sitting down with the performers, entrepreneurs, community leaders, really anyone with a story, personal anecdotes, first inspirations, childhood follies. Who knows where this is going to take us, but we can't wait to find out. Can't catch the show on air? No worries. All our episodes will be posted afterwards on SoundCloud. You can visit www.ourcrater.com to check for postings. If you're inclined to tune in, you can always dial into 96.7, or you can also stream at www.cklu.com. One part of the show we're really excited about is to include all of you in it. Don't worry, it's super easy. Keep an eye out all over the downtown area for our Crater Conversation cards. They're going to be popping up in some of your favorite local shops in the area. These are where the whole idea got started. One of our missions here at our crater is to help our community realize how lucky we are to live in such a vibrant place. Who knew a cosmic collision could leave behind such a pretty indentation for us to nestle in? The idea is simple. Each card will pose a question as the conversation starter. It might be, who's your favorite Sudburian? What's Sudbury's signature dish? Where's the best view in Sudbury? You get the idea. The idea here is to engage Sudburians in constructive conversations about the things we love about our home. After all, this is our city, our home, and our crater. So we'll be here each week, Sunday nights from 10 to 11, and we hope you'll follow along and listen to us. If you aren't able to listen live, remember you can always catch our show after the fact on SoundCloud. Check out www.ourcrater.com for updates. Now we're going into our very first interview today. So for our premiere, we decided to go with Sudbury Burlesque. They're coming up with their third edition of the Monsters Ball this weekend. So that is on Friday the 28th and Friday the 27th and Saturday the 28th. Tickets are $35. You can get them at sudburyburlesque.com. We sat down with Lauren McKee, who is a veteran member of the troupe. She's been with the troupe for 5 years. And also Lauren Pileggi, even though I say it wrong in my intro that you're about to hear. So listen in. We're about to hear a little bit more about how they got started in burlesque and how the process has all been and what you can look forward to seeing in Monsters Ball 3 coming up this weekend. On the show for Crater Conversations, we have Lauren Pileggi and Morgan McKee. We're here today to talk to you more specifically about the Sudbury Burlesque and your upcoming Monsters Ball 3 Stripped to the Bone show. But before we get into that, I'd really like to learn a little bit more about you as performers and how did you first become interested in burlesque?
Should I start since I'm the veteran?
You can go ahead.
I can go ahead. Okay.
So this is Morgan first off here.
Yes, it's Morgan. Stage name Honey Rider. I've been with Sudbury Burlesque now for 5 years, and it was kind of after the first few runs of the Sudbury Burlesque shows. I had seen shows and was like just so impressed and really had a desire to get involved, but wasn't sure how and if I could really do it. I approached Jess. We're having open auditions. I really very nervously got an audition together. At that time, they did live auditions, which they don't do anymore. They take video submissions now. But it was one of the most nerve-wracking experiences of my life, just getting through that first audition, and then made it into the show. And the rest, as they say, is history. It was just something very... I wanted to try to push myself to see if I could actually do it. And then once I had the feeling that I was just going to do one show. If I could get through one show, I could be able to look back
and
say,
check it off the bucket list.
Exactly. And one day say, I did that, whatever. And 5 years have gone
And you
by
just
now,
fell in
and
love
I
with
just
it.
fell in love with it. Love it so much, and it's such a community. We really do have a really diverse troupe, and we're really supportive and loving of each other. So it's a really great group to be involved with. Yeah.
Great. So Lauren, maybe you can tell us a bit about how you became interested.
Sure. So my stage name is Katrina Kashmir. I was a competitive dancer for most of my life, and then I got involved with Yes Theatre in the last few years, and that's how I met Jess and Colin. And I did 2 shows way back with Sudbury Burlesque, just running Spotlight, actually, so it's kind of like a big coming-of-age thing now that I'm in the show, and this year it kind of just, came to me that I really, needed to be in the show. It was about time, so I sent in an audition, and now I'm here, and I'm really excited, and it's crazy. I didn't think I would end up with a solo in the show, but I don't know. It's still very, kind of starstruck.
Shocking, right?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a nice thing to mention, too, is that a lot of people do approach us and, how do we get involved? How can we be part of it? And when we tell them that anyone can audition, a lot of people don't believe us. They think, well, I'm not a dancer, or I'm not this, I'm not that. And as Lauren is a dancer, I'm not a professionally trained dancer, but so we take everyone, it just has to be talent, and you want that need, have that need, and a spot to fill. So anyone can audition for sure.
So that kind of goes into my next question. So Morgan, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your performance background. Lauren, you've already mentioned that you have quite a bit of competitive dance performance training. So what was your performance background going into burlesque?
I'm not a dancer. I'm not a professionally trained dancer. I've acted and modeled my whole life, but nothing really on stage in terms of musical theater, things like that. I'm a talented girl, but I cannot sing. So things like that I've never done. So stage performance for me had been limited up to this point. So it was a big leap for me at first.
Yeah.
It's a lot different to be behind the camera acting or modeling than it is being out there live. And our first shows were at the Fromagerie, where it was very interactive. People could touch you.
It's a very small venue.
Very small venue. So that was very nerve-wracking at first. Yeah.
So Lauren, how did your past performance experience help you? How has it helped you kind of get into the swing of things for the burlesque show?
I think just having the experience of having been on stage and worked on live productions and kind of understanding how everything comes together and what needs to be done to get to a show standard kind of has helped. I don't know, having that prior experience I think kind of prepared me for the intensity that comes with being part of burlesque, because it is a whole different world from dancer theater. It's a lot more intense, obviously. There's a lot more going on, there's more to think about. So yeah, it's just prepared me mentally and experience-wise to be ready for this, I think.
So in burlesque, stage names are obviously a huge thing. Personas, you kind of have a whole alter ego. So can you tell us both a little bit more about your stage names, where you got the inspiration, and a little bit about your characters for burlesque?
Okay, so most people are familiar with the concept of Beyonce versus Sasha Fierce, right? So that's something for me that has always been very true to how I am as a performer, because I'm very shy in real life. I'm very quiet, reserved, very shy, and then once I'm on stage as Honey Rider, it's a completely different person. Mm-hmm. You really feed off the energy, and you can create a new persona, right? To kind of be the person that you're not in real life. Someone a little bit more confident, a little bit, more out there, I guess. Less afraid, right? Mm-hmm. So Honey Rider is actually the name of the very first Bond girl ever in the very first James Bond movie. So,
oh, really?
And just my hair is kind of reddy blonde, honey colored. I don't know. It just seemed to fit.
Kind of works.
One of those double entendre kind of names that was just, it just fit for me, and I love it.
This is perfect.
So, yeah.
Man.
Yeah. My stage name is Katrina Kashmir. It's very new. It's only a month or so in. But I'm a huge Prince fan. I think that's how a lot of my friends have started to know me almost. And I really wanted my stage name to have some kind of a Prince influence on it. So both names, both Katrina and Kashmir, are from 2 Prince songs. So I thought it was kind of a good merging of something that I really love, but also sounds kind of cool. Yeah.
No, that's a really good idea. Like, and especially because you really wanted to kind of incorporate your own passions, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of want to infuse your own personality into kind of the stage persona so that you can kind of evolve into it a little bit differently.
Yeah, as much as it is stepping outside the box when you have a performer name or something like that, it still does have to be reflective of you and make sense in your real life, right? Yeah.
So Morgan, obviously you've kind of talked already that you've been with the troupe for quite a while, so about 5 years you said. And Lauren, you're brand new, so this is the biggest show of the season we're going into. So as a newcomer, Lauren, how have you kind of found the experience preparing? What's kind of the anticipation like, Morgan, for this kind of the next show?
I don't know, it's crazy. It's very different from, like, dance. Obviously, there's so much more to think about, and then it's different from the Yes Theater stuff that I've done, because it's not a musical, really. Like, there's still a lot of those elements, but it's not like we're in rehearsals for, like, a month and then going into the theater all together. Like, it's very... I don't know, I find a lot of people are, like, flying by the seat of their pants for this kind of thing, because, like, you'd never really know what it's going to end up looking like until we're there, which is a little nerve-wracking, because I like to, like, see the full picture. Like, with dance, you'll have a routine and work on it for so many months, and, like, you can really see it coming together. But with this, it's like, okay, just hope everyone's ready. But I know everyone is.
Yeah.
So it's different, but...
And this is the biggest show of the year, really, for you guys.
Yeah.
So, Morgan, you've been in it before a few times already. Do you feel like kind of there's, like, an anticipation of, like, we got to one-up the year before?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, these shows have grown. As I said, we started out at the Fromagerie, where our capacity for selling tickets is somewhere around the 60-person mark to... from there we moved to doing shows at the Steelworkers Hall, which was a capacity of about 350 people, to last year we sold out almost 1,100 people over 2 nights at the Grand. So that in itself, we keep upping our game, right?
Yeah, I went last year and it was like standing room only, and I was there half an hour early.
It's so true, and that in itself is sometimes it's a little hard to believe. I know both myself and Virginia Legs had a moment last year before we went on stage for the opening. We're looking out at the audience being like, all of these people came here to see us. That's incredible in a city this size. And so the turnout and, like, the love and support that we've received throughout this city has been astonishing. So we do want to give back. We want to make sure that last year's production, if that blew them away, I'm like, just wait till you see this year's. And the way Lauren's saying, like, she doesn't know how is this all going to come together. As veterans, we have a better idea because we performed in this space and we know the ins and outs of all of that, so we know it'll come together. But it's definitely a little bit different than anything she's used to. And we threw her in right in the deep end too. So there's no starting slowly. It's all or nothing.
So especially with Sudbury Burlesque, there's quite a few troupe members that have been around for a long time. So it's kind of like you all work together as a very symbiotic kind of finely tuned machines. There's a lot of trust involved with the artists that you know that you can depend on, you've worked with. Definitely. So how is it kind of bringing in somebody new to the dynamic? How does that change the process?
It's always nerve-wracking, right? Because we are a very close-knit group. And so you're always wary about how someone might fit in. But up till this point, we've never had a problem, because I really do feel like there has to be something in you to want to be doing this, that we're all on the same page. So a lot of us, we all have different, like, day jobs and come from different backgrounds, but somehow that love of performance and burlesque and of the arts keeps us all together. Like, it's a common ground for sure. So it's a really great group, and anybody that's come in since, like, the beginning, it just feels like they should have been there the whole time. Yeah, we've been very lucky.
So, Lauren, as far as this being your first show, have you found it as a newcomer? Have you found that the troupe members that you're working with, have they been really willing to kind of give you advice? What's maybe, for both of you actually, what would be maybe the best advice you've gotten starting your burlesque journey?
Oh, wow. I don't know. There's been a lot. Like, so many people, like Jess and Colin, are so good at, like, mentoring everyone, and then Star and Morgan are huge for that too. Like, they're just such, like, kind people who really care about seeing you do well and making sure your number's ready, making sure you're ready for everything. And there's always, like, little showgirl secrets that are being shared, which is really fun. It's like tricks of the trade, kind of, that you come to learn after a while. So, I don't know, there's so much information to take in all the time, which is really nice. It's, like, never a dull moment. You can't really be bored around these people.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't know what the best advice.
Yeah, I can't think of like a
advice
single
would be.
piece.
Because there's
too
always
much.
so much. Yeah, because we're constantly evolving. The same
And
way.
you're bringing in people from
Yeah.
out of town, and you guys have been traveling to different festivals, right?
Yeah.
So getting the chance to interact with people from different cities.
Which
Do you find that they
is
have
great.
lots to pass on?
Oh, definitely. Like last February, when we had the reigning queen of burlesque here to perform Poison Ivory, she did a workshop with us, and it absolutely like blew my mind because her style of performance is very sultry, very seductive, and it's something I really aspire to like work towards, and something I'd like to emulate. And as a background, she was very similar to myself in terms of she's not a trained dancer, things like that, and that really, I don't know, gives you hope, kind of. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Even 5 years in, you know that there's still more for you to kind of evolve
exactly,
in the art,
and
right?
it keeps pushing you, right?
So it's kind of like really exciting to see Lauren kind of just first stepping into it, right? And like
Definitely.
kind of reliving the excitement through her of like just getting started
Well,
and all the jitters
it
and
is,
excitement.
and it's fun to watch new performers evolve because this is her first show, and so right now, like she said, I don't know how it's going to be and what I'm going to do, and by the next show, she's going to be like,
this
got
is fun, yeah.
whatever,
Prepared.
yeah, and
hope so.
it's fun to watch the progression and watch as performers come into their own, because you do, like we talked about the stage persona, you do end up really taking that on, right? But you have to get there. You can't just flip a switch. You need to work into it. Definitely.
You have to take the whole path. You can't just take a shortcut.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we have coming up your Monster Balls 3 show Stripped to the Bone. Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of surprises you have in store, what kind of numbers we're going to get to see over this show?
Oh, it's going to be...
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's so many numbers. First of all...
This is a huge, huge show.
It's a huge production, group numbers, lots of individual numbers. We've got lots of out-of-towners, some really amazing performers coming in from Toronto, from Portland, from all different places that are just going to blow people's minds. One of the performers that's coming has performed on America's Got Talent, just huge names in the burlesque community that people here may not be aware
and there's
of.
the one performer that is on a Netflix documentary, right? He's part
yes,
of Netflix.
That's the same one. Yeah.
Oh, okay, what's his name?
Isaiah. Yeah.
Isaiah, and what was it's Burlesque Glitter Tribe?
The Glitter Tribe. Yeah, about their tribe in their troupe in Portland. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that documentary and it was really cool. There was one performer and her whole bit was that she was dressed up as fast food.
Yes,
and she has a whole
hilarious, right?
And she has a whole burlesque performance about her. She undresses and becomes like the different ingredients of a taco.
Yeah. and that's kind of where we talk about finding your persona, because whereas I may gravitate more towards darker, sultry numbers, maybe Lauren's the funny girl. You know what I mean? You find your niche, what works for you best on stage, because it's not everybody can be everything, right? Yeah. So that's a really good example, actually, of finding your niche within the burlesque community. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of those performers from that documentary will be here. He's fantastic. He's just going to blow everybody's minds. And so again, when we bring in these out-of-towners that are so spectacular, that forces us to up our game as well. Right? You don't want to fall flat after the out-of-towner comes and performs, right? Like, oh, look at these Sudbury girls. Oh.
Can't let them show you up on your home stage.
Exactly. So the numbers that people can expect, they're going to be, a couple are a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Actually.
might actually freak people out.
Yeah. Very true to Halloween. That's kind of all you can expect. You can expect everything from horror movie villains to classic vampires and wolfmen. It runs the gamut, and prepare to laugh, to be a little bit scared, and just overall be really enjoy it all. Yeah.
So what are the dates for the show, and where can people get tickets?
You want to do that?
Sure. So the show runs on October 27th and 28th. It's the Friday, Saturday before Halloween. You can get tickets at sudburyburlesque.com. We also have a few physical locations that you can locate through Facebook. If you just take a look on our Facebook page, should be a list there. Or you can get them, I think from some of us, we'll have some physical tickets soon.
The performers all have them. You can get them at Studio 613 Tattoo Company. Fromagerie Elgin,
The
Gloria's, Bombshell Beauty Saloon. There's a whole list, so
Yeah.
definitely check out sudburyburlesque.com.
And costumes are encouraged, right?
Yes,
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. There are fabulous prizes for best costume, and really nobody ever disappoints. It's really great. Sometimes the costumes, like last year, I couldn't even believe the time that people
absolutely.
spent on these costumes. Like, no joke. Like, really
Great
good.
costumes
Really good.
last
Yeah.
year.
Really
Yeah, absolutely. I had to up my game last year. I showed up as like Cruella DeVille.
good.
I was like, I gotta really get into this costume this year.
We need to like not know who you are this year. That's how you know you've done well.
Oh no, I don't know how to do that. Okay, perfect. Well, thanks so much. We're gonna move into the next segment here in a moment, but for now, we're gonna play a little bit of music for you.
And that was our very first interview for Crater Conversations with Morgan McKee and Lauren Pileggi. We are going to go into some music now. We're actually going to start this with a local act who is performing actually right now in Sudbury today. Andrew Hyatt, he is a local Sudbury musician. He's really known for country music. He just played at Boots and Hearts over the summer. And he's actually on tour right now with Dallas Smith. And if you follow country, you know that Dallas Smith is basically one of the biggest acts in Canadian country music right now. So he was actually playing at the Sudbury Arena tonight. So very fittingly, this is our first show. We obviously have to open with a local guy. Then we're following up with that. We have a song from Yukon Blonde, Emotional Blackmail. And following that, we will have One Foot by Walk the Moon.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Crater Conversations. I bet you're expecting some music right now. Turns out copyright laws even apply to us. So check below in the description for all the links for the music that we would have played this episode, and you can always follow us on Spotify to keep up to date with our playlists.
And we are back here at CKLU 96.7. You are listening to Crater Conversations presented by Our Crater. This is our very first episode. So if you haven't checked out Our Crater yet, you can go to www.ourcrater.com. We post all throughout the week all sorts of different articles about different things happening in the city, events, businesses, people that we think you should know about. Up on the homepage right now, you can see a bit of an explanation about what the Crater Conversations show is all about. You can see our latest Trendsetter Thursday with fall trends from our other co-founder, Adriana Nicolucci. You can find travel tips 24 hours in Nice. You can find an article about Latitude 46 Publishing, their latest book, as well as updates on what's going on at the Art Gallery of Sudbury. And speaking of the Art Gallery of Sudbury, if you keep an eye out on our Facebook page, you can look us up on Our Crater, look us up on Twitter as well, and Instagram under all the same name, Our Crater. We will have coming up very shortly a really exciting project we've been working on with the Art Gallery of Sudbury. It's really timely for this time of year, the spooky season. We did a little bit of an investigation, and we really hope you enjoy it. We're going into our next interview now. This is our Crater Conversations. So we already talked a little bit about what Crater Conversations is all about, but we really want to get our subjects' perspectives on some of the questions. So we posed a few of those questions to our guests that we had on, Morgan McKee and Lauren Pileggi. And we also have our hot jam sandwich coming up right after that. The hot jam sandwich is basically a request trio where our subjects will request songs and I will put my favorite in there too. We'll smash them together and make a nice little sandwich. So we have right now our Crater Conversations questions with our two subjects, and we'll lead into that into our hot jam sandwich.
Conversations questions. These are questions that are on business cards that you'll be able to pick up all over different downtown locations as conversation starters. So the whole idea is that we want to really engage Sudburyans in constructive conversations about the things that they love about their community. So, in the spirit of things, we'll pose some of these questions to our subjects here today, Morgan and Lauren. To start things off, who is your favorite Sudburian, Lauren?
This is tough. There's so many worthy people of this title. Probably my friend Sean Cosmo. He's like one of the most amazing performers I've ever witnessed in my life, and like all the bands that he's been in Sudbury are so amazing, and like I don't know, he just has
He's involved in so many different things, right?
Like, he just has such a great hand and everything here, and like such a good personality. You like can't have a bad time around Sean. So I think he'd probably have to be my favorite Sudbury.
What do you think for your favorite Sudbury, Morgan?
I have no idea. It's so hard to choose somebody. Like, being involved in the arts community, we know so many talented people. Like,
yeah, it's true.
I don't know, at the risk of offending anybody, I might take a pass on this one.
Morgan does not have a favorite.
I don't play favorites.
No. What do you think is Sudbury's signature dish? What is the food that we do best here?
Definitely porchetta.
Porchetta.
Yeah, I feel like that's
when
very
I
true.
didn't live here for a while, I used to miss it so much. Porchetta and deluxe fries. When I would come home.
100%.
Oh, deluxe.
Very true.
Just roll it up right away to deluxe.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. What do you think? Where do you think is the best view in Sudbury? The best skyline view in the city?
I don't even know what to like call this, but my friend took me to a place that's like behind that school on Van Horn, and if you like walk up the hill at night, there's a great view of downtown.
Oh yeah,
you know where I mean? Yeah, or even
really
like at the grotto has like a great view at night. It's on like the opposite side.
Okay, on the opposite side of the grotto.
Yeah,
okay.
so similar view, I guess. But yeah, just like a special spot.
The grotto is a really great place, and a lot of people don't realize where it is. Every time I mention it, people half the time don't know about it.
Really? That's
I really feel like it.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with Lauren there.
Yeah.
That grotto neighborhood, that's the best. What is your favorite Halloween activity in Sudbury?
Like besides our shows, there's nothing else you want to be doing.
Do you really get to enjoy anything other than the
we
show?
don't really. Like, lots of people have been asking me what I'm dressing up as for Halloween, and I'm like,
you can't really have like a
don't.
I'm dressing up as Honey Rider for Halloween.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? I'm like, I'm gonna be busy, so we don't really get a chance to do the dressing up and stuff like that. We do have an after party after our show that we will dress up, but like last year I was. After the shows, I dressed up as Kimmy Schmidt. It was just kind of that's an easy costume.
That's a great costume. I like that one.
Like that kind of stuff. Aside from that, the candy eating.
Yeah, that's like a big part of Halloween.
The November 1st discount chocolate run. Is so good.
It's like the day after Valentine's Day too, when all the chocolate goes on sale. Yeah, it's the best.
So the Halloween shows for Sudbury Burlesque, people really go all out for their costumes. Is there a favorite costume you've seen?
I really like pop culture costumes. I like when people take something from the news or whatever and make costumes out of it. And last year, one guy that we know dressed up as the Kim Kardashian magazine cover with the champagne.
Oh, that's amazing.
And the champagne glass on his ass. And he's a bartender at Speakeasy, and he spent months making this costume, and he didn't even want to go on stage. Like, it's like, you have to go on stage. This is the best costume ever. Like, it was amazing. And he ended up winning, I think, the costume contest.
Obviously. Yeah,
it was fantastic. Yeah, it was really good. I like when people do things like that.
Yeah, pop culture ones are always funny. I don't know, I don't have like a favorite. I think last year it was my friend Evan dressed up as like, wasn't there like in the latest Purge movie like a Donald Trump gag or something? I feel like I don't know.
Think, it was all election.
Yeah, exactly. And he like dressed up as like Donald Trump in the Purge, and it was like uncanny. Like I don't know how he made his face look so similar.
Scary.
Yeah, I still have like the picture saved on my phone because it was so good. But it's like terrifying how much he actually looked like Trump. I couldn't believe it. But it was a great costume.
Oh my goodness.
Good / terrifying.
Oh man.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, just kind of talking about past Halloween costumes, 90s Halloween costumes I feel like were like the peak of times. Can you remember a Halloween costume that maybe you wore when you were a kid that you like was just the best?
I had a lot. My mom used to make my costumes, so they were always very like particular, lots of care went into them.
Yeah, it was definitely different than it is now. There was no spirit
buying.
Halloween to go and buy those things.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of years where it was really heavily Sailor Moon influenced on my end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's leave it at that.
Repeated that one?
Yeah.
I think the greatest Halloween
coming back.
costume I can ever think of is, I grew up in Manitoulin, and so I was just thinking about this last night. There was a girl that I was friends with, her name was Kristen, and we all called her Chrissy. She was very creative, and she got a big giant cardboard box, and she painted it with Rice Krispies.
Nice.
But she did it Rice Krispies.
Oh, so good.
And then she
Funny.
wore a bowl on her head, and she carried a spoon, and then she had even had an information, a nutrition panel.
Oh my
and
God.
it said sugar, spice, everything nice, blood, guts, and a brain. 86 pounds.
That's awesome. That's really
And
cute.
we took, me and my mom, we took her, she went Halloween, trick-or-treating with us that year for Halloween. And this box was so big she couldn't take it off. And this is every time we got into the vehicle to move on to the next stop. So this being the 90s and people being a lot more lax about how you treat your kids, instead of her taking it on and off every time we had to move the car, my mom opened up the hatchback of the minivan and
She just
stuck
jumped
her in. She kind of belly flopped in and
Yeah.
hung on.
Oh my God.
And that's what we did for the night.
And you're here to tell the story.
Yeah.
And I'm here,
Live to tell.
I'm here to
Yeah.
embarrass her with that story. But no, Halloween costumes in the 90s were the greatest. I remember
Yeah.
dressing up as a Care Bear.
Yeah,
I think my mom made a Pebbles costume, from Flintstones.
Oh, yeah.
I was bear in the Big Blue House once. That's early.
Really?
2000s. Yeah, like the bear, full body fuzzy costume. Yeah.
Oh,
The
God.
pictures are really embarrassing. Hide
They're
those.
great. That's so cute.
So we're going to move on to the next segment. So our next segment is, it's a personal phrase of mine that I am going to now try to make a thing. It's called the Hot Jam Sandwich. So this is a segment where every week we'll have our guests and myself will choose a song that is their Hot Jam of the week. And we'll kind of put it all together as a sandwich. So Morgan, I'll let you start. What is your Hot Jam right now?
Right now, for the last little bit, I'm completely obsessed with The Weeknd. So I don't know if you can play The Weeknd on CKLU.
If it's on Spotify, I can play
Yeah,
it.
all right. I'm just wondering. We'll have to find a clean version of all of them. But yeah, anything by The Weeknd right now, I'm just absolutely in love with. And my best friend and I just went to see him last month, and absolutely
That
blew
would
my
have been a
face
great
off.
show.
So good. Yeah, he's great. I love him.
Do you have one, Lauren?
Man. It's got to be a Prince song. I already talked about Prince
Yeah,
once.
look
That's
at this,
I
look
know.
at this.
It's all I listen to all the time.
Oh, look at this. She's got the
Yeah.
Prince tattoo symbol
Yeah.
on her forearm, bright and bold
How do
in
I
purple.
pick a specific? I don't know. Maybe I think my favorite Prince song right now is probably "Extra Lovable." That's a really good one. It's pretty groovy. Yeah.
Good choice. Well, this isn't my first edition. I guess I have to choose this song that I have been obsessed with for the last couple months. It's called "Shot Out of a Cannon" by Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness.
Oh, I saw them.
Yeah, I've seen them a few
last
times
year.
too. If you don't know who Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness is, if you
Something
think back,
corporate.
if
Yeah.
you think back to way back Dashboard Confessional days, and then Something Corporate was a band at the time, and then it evolved into Jack's Mannequin, and now he's his own solo act, Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness. Actually, one of the band members, just so you know, this is a great piece of hot gossip. One of the band members from Something Corporate is married to Lauren Conrad.
Oh, really?
cool.
Yeah.
That's a weird
This is-
crossover.
What a strange crossover,
Yeah.
right? Anyway, so Shot Out of a Cannon by Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness is my hot jam for the year, I feel. So those are the 3 songs that we will be playing in just a second.
And we are back live in the studio at CKLU 96.7 with Crater Conversations. That was just our last segment of the night, our Crater Conversation questions with Morgan McKee and Lauren Pileggi, and that led us into our Hot Jam Sandwich. So we actually heard back from Morgan. She picked her favorite song from The Weeknd as Wanderlust. We have coming up after that my favorite song of the year called A Shot Out of a Cannon by Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness. And Lauren chose her favorite Prince song. Of course, it had to be Prince song because she's Katrina Cashmere, Extra Lovable by Prince. So we have those 3 coming up for you right now. We hope you'll join us again next week at 10 o'clock on CKLU 96.7, or you can listen to us stream on cklu.com, or you can check back if you don't listen live. You can check back on ourcrater.com for our SoundCloud link once the episode goes live a few days later.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Creator Conversations. I bet you're expecting some music right now. Turns out copyright laws even apply to us. So check below in the description for all the links for the music that we would have played this episode, and you can always follow us on Spotify to keep up to date with our playlists.
And that was the conclusion of our very first episode of Creator Conversations here on CKLU 96.7. If you're interested in more information about Our Creator, you can always check us out on ourcreator.com. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, all under Our Creator as well, where we post all sorts of different things constantly for you to keep up to date on what is going on for the social Sudburian in our city. We hope you'll stay tuned into CKLU 96.7. We have coming up tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Is LU Mornings. At 9 o'clock is Earshot National Top 20. At 11 is Goose Grease. And at 12 o'clock there is Sound Jack with Jackie, Baseline Jack, who we actually had perform at one of our last events back in April. So we really love Jackie, and we hope you will tune into her show at 12 for all the house hits. We'll see you next week at 10 o'clock on CKLU.